Now, after your time at Reading comes to an end, you come back to India and you work at a type foundry.
Yes. I got this internship when I was in Reading itself. I interviewed with them virtually back then, and I got to come back to India and work with a foundry called Universal Thirst, which is based in Bangalore and Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland. I cannot pronounce that name because the partners, one of them is Indian and one of them, Kalapi is Indian and Gunnar is Icelandic. So it's based in two cities. And
So, just a couple of things just to interrupt you. Which year was this that you came back and started on?
I went to Reading in 2015. It was a one-year course and I got back in 2016. October of 2016.
What exactly is a type foundry for people who don't know?
A type foundry is a company that makes fonts. It makes them, it designs them, it produces them so that it's usable on computers, it's usable on the net. There's a lot more to making a typeface than just the design part of it. So it does all of that. And it could be multiple people, a company could be made out of multiple people, but it could also be one person who then collaborates with some other people to sort of take it to execution. So once upon a time, Foundry was the place where you would cast in metal those letters because they were physical objects. Now it's all work done on a computer.
Okay, and so now you interned at this type foundry in Bangalore.
Yeah.
And how many people were working in the company back then?
I want to say I was their first intern. They had freshly started. Universal Thirst was brand new in 2016. It was just a couple of months old. And I moved to Bangalore and we were working out of a co-working space over there. And for the most part of my internship, I was working by myself on that desk because Kalapi, I think, had got a puppy recently and he had to be at home. But that's also the great thing about type design, that you can work remotely, which is why the pandemic has really not affected type designers in general. You have version control softwares that allow you to sort of upload files that have been worked on by certain people and then someone else looks over it. So this is fairly common even normally, and back then I was working remotely but from Bangalore itself. In a company, I don't remember there being anyone else next to me for sure from the company, but also remotely I want to say it was only Gunnar and Kalapi, and maybe they were working with other people, other freelancers as well. But it was essentially a very small company.
So, just a side note almost, right? At this point, you've spent a fair amount of time in Bombay and you've also now been working in Bangalore.
Yeah.
What was the differences between the two? Is there much difference between the work cultures in both cities?
At this point, I had not really worked in Bombay, like work, because I'd only studied in Bombay so far. And then I moved to Goa and then moved to the UK and then had come back to Bangalore. And to be fair, what I experienced in Bangalore was just those 3 months because I moved to Bombay after that. But I mean, for me, the biggest difference between the two cities and between what I imagine would have been a major difference is the commute. Over here in Bombay, you have local trains, you have a lot more public transportation that allowed me a lot more mobility around the city and still does. But in Bangalore, that was really not an option. I mean, those buses were a joke. If I had to take a bus and get to work, that was not possible. I would essentially have to Uber it to and back. And honestly, Bangalore traffic, I mean, I don't have to tell it to anybody, but if you've never been to Bangalore, Bangalore has really bad traffic. I hated being stuck in that traffic. That is not something I like experiencing anywhere. And I managed to get a two-wheeler, a scooty for my time over there. So that made life a lot more easier. Yeah, that was, and also the fact that it was very difficult for me actually to move back to India because I'd gone to the UK to do this course, which was not cheap. It was really expensive. Just my tuition fee back then was £14,000. That's about 14 lakhs right there, not including stay and travel and food and all these other expenses. And I'd taken a significant loan with the help of my father to do this. And I was hoping to get a job that paid me in a foreign currency that would help pay off these loans faster. And that did not happen because visa issues came up. No one wanted to sponsor one. And I was really, really sad and dejected when I came back to India. And then I moved to Bangalore, where not only is the traffic really bad, I didn't really know anybody over there. Most of my friends from college were in Bombay. I'd been in Goa, so I had a bunch of friends over there. Bangalore seemed really alien to me. And it sort of didn't work out. And I moved back to Bombay after those 3 months.
And so you moved back to Bombay, but what was your experience like working at a type foundry? Did that reaffirm things, or did that make you want to change the way you did your own work?
I loved working at a type foundry. I loved what I got to do at Universal Thirst as well. And just the way the last internship that I did taught me so much more than I ever could have learned studying this academically. It was an incredible experience. The version control software, which is GitHub, is something that is essential to type design if you're working collaboratively with people. And that's something I got to sort of learn at that job. I got to work under people who have a far more experience in this field. And the feedback I got over there, the workflow of how to sort of think about starting to work on a typeface in a very realistic manner. All of these things I'd only done as part of my course so far. So again, it was a great experience for me to be able to return with Universal Thirst. And again, I wish I had done type design before I'd gone for my master's. I think that would have made that master's course a lot more useful. I would have made much better use than I did of that master's course had I gone in knowing some more about it. But this was supposed to be my journey, and it happened how it did. But I was very sure that this is something I want to do because type design is difficult. It's staring at a screen by yourself for long hours. And really, the changes that you make are very minute, but they make a big difference in the design that you've created. So all of these things, unless you really truly enjoy it, are not things you want to do for the rest of your life. And I was definitely sure that this is something I would enjoy doing. So that was really helpful as well.